Since its highly anticipated debut on Netflix 2 weeks ago, Forever has completely blown up. Everyone's talking about it. This reimagined love story has captivated us all. With season 2 on the horizon, let's dive into what lies ahead for Keisha and Justin as they embark on their separate journey. So I'm going to share my predictions for season 2, as well as some things that I would like to see. Also, thank you for all the love on my Forever review I posted. If you haven't seen that, make sure you check that out. Just a quick reminder on how season 1 ended. Keisha and Justin decided to part ways and work on themselves. Justin put Northwestern on the back burner, decided he's going to take a gap year and work on producing. And Keisha is just tunnel vision for her new journey at Howard. So let's start with Keisha and Justin. So Mara did mention in an interview there won't be any time jumps, and season 1 ended around the summer of 2019. So with season 2 picking up from there, that leads us right into the pandemic. I know there's been a lot of talk about not wanting to see any more COVID and not reliving such a traumatic time, but I trust Mara to serve the story well. I think she's going to craft this in a way that isn't over the top, and I don't think the main focus will be COVID. I think just like season 1 started with them meeting at the party, season 2 will mirror that. I think Mara's going to come right out the gate in the first 1 or 2 episodes with another Justin and Keisha meetup. But before that, first we get an update on how Keisha's doing. So let me paint the scene. She has really immersed herself in a college life. She's flourishing, she's making friends, she's staying active. She's also struck by the many selections of men, and she's of course dating casually and exploring different men. She makes it clear that she doesn't want anything serious, but of course there's this one guy that comes along that's trying to lock her down. Then we jump to Justin. He's still producing and locked in on that. He's starting to get a little buzz on social media. His beats are being sold pretty consistently. He also Ubers on the side a couple days a week, and this is where he ends up meeting another girl. They start talking. Things are super casual, but she starts falling for him. It could go 2 ways. Justin could just be kind of laying low, seeing one girl at a time, or Justin could be really out there exploring and just, talking to different women and going through that phase. Let's get into how they reunite. So let me paint the scene again. It's homecoming. They reunite during Yard Fest. Keisha's hanging with her girls, vibing. An upcoming artist performs, and after he's done, the MC mentions the song was produced by Justin. So this, of course, stops Keisha in her tracks. She doesn't know at this point yet, but Justin is there. And he's there because he decided to travel with the artist on a mini tour, and Howard was one of the stops. Some time passes, and they bump into each other near the food vendors. I really think it would be a great moment to add some comedic relief to this part. Maybe have Justin with a hot dog halfway in his mouth and he sees her and it's awkward and he puts it down. I don't know, but they should add something really funny here. And yeah, they're happy to see each other, but while they're talking, Keisha's boo walks up, the one I told you about earlier that's trying to lock her down. He walks up, hugs her. This is awkward, but he leaves, and Keisha and Justin plan to meet later that evening since he's staying the weekend. And I think they're gonna catch up, but things just don't feel the same. Even though they're excited to see each other again, it's that weird feeling when you run into your ex that you thought you couldn't live without at one point, and you're just kind of underwhelmed and it just doesn't feel the same. You're different people, you're different versions of yourselves. So they part ways and say they'll keep in touch, and that's it for their story at that point. Now a couple months passed. All the events I just mentioned were leading up to COVID. So let's talk about the aftermath and how to affect these 2 characters, then we'll get into the rest of the characters. I think once COVID hits, there's going to be a flip in dynamics with Justin and Keisha. In season 1, Keisha was sure of what she wanted in her future, and Justin was very unsure. But with COVID, her not being able to run track will probably send her into a depression, an identity crisis. She's going to now have doubts, and Justin is going to be so sure about his career. And being in lockdown, I think, may help his producing career flourish, especially with the social media aspect. I think COVID's really going to put a dagger into him going back to college. I think the college thing is just going to get pushed back, and he's just not going to go at all. So now Keisha has to deal with her new norm. After working so hard to get into her dream school to now, she can't do what she loves. So I think it would be cool for them to show her on the hunt to kind of find and discover something else that brings her joy. And I think it'll be in the realm of art. Maybe she gets into photography. Remember in season 1, she kept taking photos. She mentioned that kind of was her and her dad's love language. That's how they spoke to each other. So I think that's a possibility. I could see her maybe getting into fashion in some way, maybe a clothing line, maybe advocating for something, some form of art. And it seems some form of trauma always brings them together each time. So So I think the new trauma that brings them back together will be the pandemic. So the next time after homecoming that they'll meet is during COVID, during lockdown. Some kind of way they'll meet up again. But at this point, they're both kind of, seeing other people and dating. So I still don't think they'll get back together at this point. I don't think they'll get back together in season 2 at all. I think that'll be the end of season 3 or season 4. You know what I want the season to give? I want the season to give This Is Us vibes. I want A, B, and C stories. I want a couple different story threads running at the same time. So a lot of flashbacks, which leads me into my next character, Eric. Let's get into Eric. I actually think Eric should have a spotlight episode dedicated to him. I want to see flashbacks to Eric's childhood, his upbringing, maybe more into the time where he chose not to go to college, show how him and Dawn met leading up to that, show how he got into being a chef, show how he fell in love with cooking. He's the most talked about person on the show. He's everybody's favorite and people can't wait to see more of him. So giving him a spotlight episode while still sidelining the main plot will be perfect. Unfortunately, I do think his business will be affected, and he had just talked about expanding his restaurants in season 1. He's always the strong one, there for everyone, but I think this is when the family is going to band together and rally behind him and be there for him and just work through it together. And as a little bonus, here's my pitch for a scene for Eric's spotlight episode. I want them to show the parallels between him and Justin to show that what they do is similar. He cooks it up as a chef and Justin cooks it up with the beats. So they can do a flashback to Eric as a young chef in the kitchen. He's listening to an old school song, and then there's a transition. You cut to Justin making a beat using the same sample from the song Eric was listening to in the flashback. Show us how much they're alike even though they don't seem like it. I think this will be so cool. Dawn mentioned therapy in season 1, so I would like to see therapy explored and how that reflects in her day-to-day. Maybe show a flashback of her childhood, how she became so successful in her job. I do want to hear more about her career after college. Now that Keisha's mom Shelly works at USC, I think a love interest may be introduced for her. But Keisha's father at the same time is going to try to come back, trying to make things work. Seeing how passionate she was about what happened to Keisha, I could definitely see her joining some type of organization, advocating for certain issues or something along those lines. Okay, Quincy and George. With George, I do think that he may be affected by COVID, but with that, I think it's going to really open the door for him and Quincy to talk about the past and heal and forgive. They got into it a little bit in season 1, but I want to see more of them. I want to see them come out on the other side of the issues they were having, or at least start to work on them. I also think Quincy's going to try to be more active in Keisha's life too, and that's going to be a really big adjustment. I saw a comment on social media. People said they always forget about the second child, but I got you, Jaden. I think we'll see more of Jaden, definitely involving baseball. It's usually one child that kind of follows the path a little more closely that the parent wants. So I can see him, growing up, getting a little older, and going down the college and scholarship path that his mom wants for him. I think he's gonna lean closer to things that she wants. I want them to give Darius's character a little more depth. We don't know much about him, so maybe show his life at home, and maybe that'll provide some insight on why his character isn't the most likable. I think Darius is gonna fall for Chloe, but remember at first he said he wanted to stay away because her dad was a lawyer. I think some kind of way her dad being a lawyer will tie in, because they definitely mentioned that for a reason. So I think that was some type of foreshadowing. Chloe's gonna continue being a great friend to Keisha, not overdoing it. Maybe we'll see how things are for her at home with this lawyer father. Maybe they're not that great. Okay, these last 2 characters, I'm unsure if they'll come back in season 2 or not, but if they do, this is what I think could happen. Christian will be in the NBA and maybe try to lure Keisha in again with his money and resources. I don't know. The kissing cousins girl, I feel like they introduced her for a reason, and maybe her story isn't done. I think her and Justin may circle back around, even though it's kind of an interesting situation. I don't think that was last we saw of her. So those are my season 2 predictions and things I would like to see as a writer and a critic. I wanted to kind of angle it to really paint a picture so you could follow along and kind of envision the story. But yeah, no matter what happens in season 2, again, I trust Mara with the story, and I know she's gonna just blow our minds with season 2. So drop some of your predictions below and make sure to subscribe so you can be notified every time I post. My name is Kamara. Thanks for watching another episode of Screen Diaries. Until next time, bye.